Hello there, namaste. So, I love myself a good lit RPG adventure, and I gotta say, Heretical Fishing is really turning out to be a good lit RPG adventure. So, I'm liking Heretical Fishing mainly because of the way it's building out the world. The main character, he's way overpowered, but all he wants to do is be a fisher. He wants to live the simple life. It's everyone around him that kind of does most of the stuff. Sure, he does some things where it shows just how overpowered he is, but it's more of the comedic aspect. They're introducing a lot of stuff because it's a fantasy world without really much fantasy except for what he can do. They introduce like cultivators, and only a select few are cultivators, and they're blessed by the system. Yet they are hunted by the nation because they'd rather have that power for themselves. The government wants that power for themselves. So I like how it's going about introducing things. So not everyone goes by, oh, I need a quest. Oh, I get experience. Oh, when everyone sees the same thing. No, these are special people who actually have the power to be able to do something that most people can't. The funny thing is that the main character, Fisher, happens to allow it to bestow people with it. The churches are gone, or the faith has left the world, and people are basically backing cults to back the next faith. What will be the next church? What will become the next pantheon? Oh, but it is a funny story. It is enjoyable to watch because literally, I think only like 2 weeks happen from start to finish. The Fisher is the son of a global tycoon a man who built an empire, and he basically abandons it all to go fishing. I mean, that's how it basically starts off, and he gets hit by a truck and sent to another world. And that's literally how it starts. You find out more about him later on in the story. You find out more about the world. You find out so much, and I just enjoyed how it seeded it little by little, because every day is basically accounted for, because kept wondering, it's like, oh, he needs to do something on field day. And then like 20 chapters in, I realize, oh, it still hasn't been a whole week yet. It was one of those things that you realize that, oh my gosh, so little time has passed. I love it when books can fill so much in such little time. And the way it's going about doing it is it's focusing on other characters, other perspectives, because you can't just have one person be the main focus and then try to extend the book out way too much. And the fact that it does it so well in its first book makes me so excited for the second book, because it's funny. It's well-rounded. Sure, there are probably some issues which I didn't see. It was my first time going through it, so I didn't really have many issues. And normally, it's when I'm talking about it, I realize, oh, well, this is an issue. This is an issue. Right now, I'm not thinking of any. I actually really did like the book. I would love to go through it again. This is one of those I'd go back and go over before the next book comes out, because I just like it, and that seems like there's so much. But the fact that it's like The Mark of the Fool, I love that series because each book is like only a few months. I thought that was like, oh my gosh, normally it's a year. Normally it's like this, because it's going like a school dynamic. Each book is like a semester at school. And I was like, well, Harry Potter was an entire year, and that's a very small book. Yet The Mark of the Fool is jam-packed with so much. I like it. But here, this book just seems to have a good balance of what it is. I like how it's seeding in each character. I like how the main character just seems to be wanting to do his thing. He's lived the life of a multi-billionaire tycoon's son. He's lived the life of being able to be a businessman. What's funny is how people react to him, because he can read people. He used to be a businessman, so the way he talks, of course, he's confusing to everyone because he's from a different world, so he uses lingo that not everyone is used to. Aussie lingo, of course. But I enjoy the book. The book is actually a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. I don't know what else to say, because it's one of those stories where, like, where you have the money, you have the wealth for food and things like that. The one thing I want to say, the girthier you are, the more attractive or more wealthy you're seen as. So it's one of those types of dynamics where it's like, okay, it proves you have money if you can afford the food to get yourself to be more well-rounded in the physical sense. But yeah, I like little nuances like that. I like the little things where you can tell someone's a peasant just because they're fit, just because they're not eating over in abundance. And I like the fact that it's like nobody fishes, yet he does, and comes across other people that seem to do it as well. It's a very funny story because things are just happen by chance. It's just convenience. And sometimes that gets very annoying very quickly, but here it just seemed to work because you see another character's perspective who's watching it, like the mayor of the town. I think he's the mayor. And he's like witnessing something, and the whole thing becomes absolutely comedic because you're hearing one perspective of a conversation, and then you're seeing a person who's seeing it from the backside who has all these thoughts in his head thinking something completely different, and all that just seems absolutely well done. It's those little nuances that really go like, I like this story. I really enjoy it. I mean, you have smart, intelligent creatures which literally act like people, which is technically what they're doing because they're gaining intelligence. They're cultivating themselves. The creatures are becoming cultivators in and of themselves, and that's considered a step above normal humans, which is why the kingdom enslaves cultivators, because, well, they have power. They have, like, magic. They're the ones with magic, the only ones with magic. Everything else is, well, the same. Absolutely the same, except for some animals which are different. But yeah, I like the story. I kind of wish they didn't have a romantic entanglement, but at the same time, it kind of fits the story, I gotta say. But I kind of wish there wasn't. I kind of wish he was more like an A-type personality, not an A-type personality, but you know what I mean, who just was focusing on himself. He did that in his previous life. He had been around the block. He didn't care for it because everyone wanted one thing, and now he's in a place of absolute power, and how could he not feel the exact same way that the women pursuing him only want one thing? But I don't know. That's just my one thing. I'm tired of seeing the relationships constantly in every single book, and it's just like, well, I guess it serves a purpose. And it's hard to not include it. I gotta be honest, it's hard to not include it, because when you see one that works, you just want to go with it. There's something about a relationship that just makes you want to smile when you see people get together. But yeah, this book, absolutely recommend it. This was, I don't think I spoiled anything because there's just so much in this book that and it's more of a comedy. It's more of something to read and have a fun time with, to laugh. I don't really think there were any real sorrowful moments because everything is kind of balanced out correctly to where you get a laughing situation right after. But that's all. I definitely recommend Heretical Fishing. I think that's correct. Thank y'all for watching. Talk to you next time. Doodles.